And that means we're celebrating the day 160 years ago when enslaved people in Galveston, Texas, finally learned they had been freed. Lots of other people knew, but they didn't know in Galveston. And here we are, 160 years later.
Now let's talk about Juneteenth just real quick. I don't need to do a whole history lesson. Juneteenth, there were enslaved blacks in Galveston, Texas, that did not know they were officially free. Although it was rumored that they were free, although other blacks told them that they were free, they didn't believe them. And in 1865, they were officially told that they were free. And that's why they celebrate Juneteenth. However, all black people still weren't free. Because actually, if you do the research, in Juneteenth, the Galveston people who acknowledged or finally got the, got the confirmation that they were free, they were not the only slaves. What these cowards fail to mention, and they do it intentionally, and this is why I have a problem with all this stuff. Just keep it real. What they fail to mention, because they don't want this to be a part of history, is that it was still slaves. The Choctaw Indian had not released their slaves. But they don't want you to know that Indian people that the natives own slaves. And they don't want you to know that that was the actual last remnant of slaves released. Is when the Choctaw released their slaves a year later. Or the next year. I don't know if it was the actual calendar year. But the next year, the Choctaw Indian released their slaves, which were the final remnant of black slaves released to freedom. That's why it's so disingenuous for them to pick June 19th, 1865, when it probably would be March something, 1866. But they cannot have in history that Indians were the last to release black people from slavery. Because they can't blame it all on white people. And that's what makes me insanely upset about the disingenuous nature. But since you don't want to tell the truth, then we shouldn't have nothing to do with Juneteenth. Juneteenth should not be a federal holiday. If you look at the holidays, the federal holidays and state holidays, state issues are state holidays. Federal issues are federal holidays. Just because a few people in Galveston, Texas found out they were free, doesn't mean that the country had not already freed black people. Federally, the country had already freed black people. Everybody knew they were free. People in Galveston were told they were free. It's just they didn't believe it. It wasn't confirmed. Federally, they were already free. That's the celebration. That's the holiday. Not when somebody in Galveston, Texas would notify they're free. And they weren't even the last slaves to be freed anyway.
We got some news coming out of Washington that Donald Trump has said there's too many non-working holidays. Now, today is June 19th, and it should be noted that the president did not celebrate Juneteenth, and the White House didn't even recognize it. And when asked during a press conference if they were going to, KK Caroline basically dodged the question. So I think we know exactly what holiday he's talking about. There's too many of. It's Juneteenth. Why? Well, it's the same president who signed an executive order to cancel DEI. DEI is the modern way that white people say the N-word. If you haven't noticed, the N-word just evolved over the years from N-word to thug to welfare queen to drug dealer to CRT, and the modern usage of it's DEI. Also, the same president who tried to close the African American History Museum in D.C., the same president who took the accomplishments of black service members out of military history after swearing to God he supports the troops. So it comes as a surprise to no one that the same president elected by white supremacists who represents white supremacy ideology now wants to cancel Juneteenth. But of course, he's too chicken shit to just say that out loud. Instead, he starts this little propaganda machine that there's too many non-working federal holidays. Hey, Nepo baby, you've never worked a day in your life. You've been handed everything to you from the day of your birth. Every single business you've ever started has been an absolute and utter failure. And more than 75% of this country hates you. So off. That being said, Juneteenth is going to be celebrated whether or not the white supremacist in charge wants to. So, eat it.
Apparently, Trump wants to cancel Juneteenth. he wants to cancel Juneteenth as a federal holiday. Come on, Biden just announced Juneteenth as a federal holiday during his last term, and he was in Texas to celebrate Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a public holiday and it's a black holiday. Juneteenth just happened a few days back. That was 19th June, and the White House did not recognize June 19th. Trump was asked why he did not celebrate Juneteenth. He responded bluffing, saying there is too many public holidays. What he meant by this is that Juneteenth shouldn't be a public holiday. You see me? This kind of hate towards the black Americans is really going out of hand. And if you voted for Trump, well, what's this?
Juneteenth is a Black American holiday, and that's okay. And I'm not sure if people are crashing out because they don't feel included or because y'all have continuously tried to gaslight Black Americans as though we don't have our own culture. But either way it goes, it's okay to accept that Black Americans do indeed have a culture and that Juneteenth is a part of that culture. And specifically, it is a Black Texan tradition of culture that have specific nuances in which Black Texans celebrate it with. It is okay to make yourself present in the celebrations, but not make yourself the celebration. And it is not xenophobic for Black Americans to say, hey, this is ours, as other cultures have theirs. Learn about it, respect it, but there's no need to put any remixes to Juneteenth. Juneteenth is what it is and has been what it's been. And in addition, if you're not a Black Texan, it should really be a day of remembrance, not just a day off of work. A day to recognize that, yeah, we have come a long way, but we still have so much further to go.
Let me get this straight. The current sitting president of the United States of America took time out of his day on Juneteenth to say that there are too many federal holidays in the US of A. Then went a step further and said that the American people would rather there be less federal holidays, which is just asinine because I don't know any American who would not want a paid day off. As a matter of fact, we'd like to have more. But I guess it makes total sense for a man who referred to a loan of $1 million as small. But the former president of the United States of America, Joe Biden, was in Galveston, Texas to celebrate Juneteenth when the current president didn't even mention it. As a matter of fact, Joe Biden is the president who signed Juneteenth into law and made it a federal holiday. You know, I wish Donald Trump would have come out and just said, you know, folks, I'm just sick and tired of you.
We're celebrating Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Tell me about Juneteenth.
Listen, now I'm a Texan.
Yes, you are.
So I feel like the rest of the country is just now kind of getting tuned in.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that being a Black woman, and for those that don't understand Juneteenth, this was about the fact that the last slaves down in Texas finally 2 years later realized that, or were made aware that they were no longer enslaved people. But in this time, though, especially with the anti-DEI movement and the rollback just of our civil rights and our civil liberties as a whole, as well as ignoring the Constitution, and there's so many rights that Black folk got specifically just from the Constitution, I think that this Juneteenth, everyone, whether you're Black or otherwise, should really evaluate what does freedom look like in this country? And are we willing to fight for it? And I think, you know, evaluating what happened at No Kings, I think we are ready and willing to fight for our freedom. But I think that it is important that we come together and we define what freedom looks like for those of us in this country, not just Black folk.
We knew he was never going to last 24 hours. You know that all day he's been sitting in that Oval Office, holding it in like a geriatric incontinent chihuahua that just got into a wholesale bag of cat treat flavored laxatives. But honestly, it was unrealistic to expect a guy of his age to make it to midnight. Really, the question was, how is it going going to leak out. Now we know. In an absolutely tepid Truth Social post, too many non-working days in America, costing us billions and billions and billions. These workers don't want it either. It must change if we are going to make America great again. Would have guessed it was on Juneteenth. You know what we're celebrating today, Donald? Freedom for black people after 339 years of people just like you, forcing them to work for free. By the way, it is very generous to call what people like you made black people do work. Now, Donald, I know you hate giving up the spotlight, and I can't imagine a holiday that you would hate more than one celebrating the thing that you hate most, which is free black people. But I don't give a shit, because we're going to celebrate, because no matter how badly you would love it, this is never coming back.
I'm only posting once today because Juneteenth isn't content, it's commitment. And I want to use this space to say something that matters. We are our ancestors' answered prayer. And today, black people, we get to rest because they couldn't. We talk about freedom like it happened all at once. But Juneteenth reminds us that it didn't. It came late. June 19th, 1865. Texas. Thousands of black men, women, and children were still enslaved. 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, because the people holding them chose silence, chose greed, chose violence, and freedom didn't come until Union soldiers arrived, read General Order Number 3, and made it real by force. That's the history. But the meaning? The meaning came after. When black folks in Texas found out they were free, they celebrated right there in the fields, in the streets, in kitchens, yards, and churches. No trust funds, no reparations, no apologies. Just bodies, voices, drums, and joy. They had cookouts, wore their best clothes, sang spirituals out loud, the same ones they used to whisper in code. They ate red food, drank red punch, lit fireworks. That red symbolized the blood, the pain, the ancestry, but also the fire that never died out. They turned delay into dignity. They turned stolen time into celebration. And that's why I'm only posting once today. Because y'all, we don't have to perform our pain to prove our worth. We're not here to make slavery more digestible or make Juneteenth cute and corporate. Today we honor. Today we remember. But more than anything, we reclaim. We reclaim what was denied. Peace, stillness, family, laughter, good food with people who love us. A moment to breathe without explaining ourselves. A full exhale. We are the proof that freedom did arrive. But we're still here, with our names, with our joy, our culture, our rhythm, our rage, tempered with rest. So black people, today, I hope you do what they couldn't. Sleep in, say no, make a plate, turn your phone off, lay in the sun, take up space. You don't owe the world a breakdown of your trauma today. You don't owe them anything. You've already given more than enough. They couldn't rest. They couldn't gather without fear. They couldn't stop moving or the system would swallow them whole. But we can, so we must. That's the real tribute, not just to their survival, but to the joy they dreamed about and the peace they never got to feel. Happy Juneteenth. Celebrate it if you want. Rest if you need. Either way, make it yours, because now it can be.
I keep seeing videos of people talking about that lady in North Carolina who had to walk out the mechanic shop because while she was there getting her car fixed, people were in there talking about Juneteenth being a made-up holiday that they made up. And I just want to say this. I'm not arguing with people who celebrated Christopher Columbus Day for years, knowing that he didn't actually do anything. Y'all were celebrating a man who didn't discover nothing. He stole America. And if you so mad about it, take your ass to work. Go stand outside if you got to. Okay? Protest it. Do something about it. And what's so funny about it is that y'all know exactly why the holiday exists. Y'all know exactly what it represents. The real issue is that you can't believe that there's a holiday that doesn't exist to just celebrate you. The world doesn't revolve around you. So I dare somebody on this bliggity black ass holiday to look me in my face and tell me that it's made up. And watch how I celebrate. But yeah, happy Juneteenth, especially to the people who think it's a made-up holiday. We don't care. We outside.
One more on Juneteenth. Does the president plan to commemorate the holiday today or make any comment on it?
I'm not tracking his signature on a proclamation today. I know this is a federal holiday. I want to thank all of you for showing up to work. We are certainly here. We're working 24/7 right now. Nikki, go ahead.
Actually, that was my question. Will you plan to mark Juneteenth in any way, either today or with an event later on, maybe next week?
Sure. I just answered that question for you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Okay, everybody, a lot of people are going to be saying happy Juneteenth. It should not be a federal holiday, and I'm on my way to work. Have a good day.
Lock in, fuck niggas. We about to fact check this shit. First, if you fuck with me, make sure that follow button. Let's get it. Charlie Kirk, what the hell are you talking about? June 19th is literally one of the most prominent dates of the Civil War ending, where we seen the Union Army come to Galveston, Texas to tell the enslaved African Americans that they're set free. And you believe that shouldn't be a federal holiday. But what really grinds my gears that you defended Columbus Day, which shouldn't be a federal holiday. Now, the reason why people celebrate Christopher Columbus Day is because he discovered the New World, aka the Americas. But when we use our big boy brain, we realize that's not true. Not only were indigenous people inhabiting the Americas for hundreds of years, but he wasn't even the first European. I mean, there's actual evidence that Vikings reached North America way before Christopher Columbus. And on top of all that, he reached to North America by mistake. There was a good chance that someone else would have made it. And on top of all of that, the reason why people celebrate Columbus Day is because he gave Europeans the opportunity to migrate to North America. But you hate immigrants. So anyone that sits here and says that Juneteenth shouldn't be a federal holiday is so racist that it's un-American.
So I live in North Carolina, probably like 15 minutes from Wilson, North Carolina. And I just want to say happy Juneteenth to all my black friends, all my black beautiful women friends, all my handsome black men. And y'all have a blessed day, and especially happy Juneteenth to the woman who walked out of Synergy Auto Care in Wilson, North Carolina. They 1,000% made the comments that they did regarding Juneteenth intentionally and did not care who they made uncomfortable in that time and in that moment. And I'm actually here to tell you that this is like an everyday occurrence with people in North Carolina. They are extremely conservative. They're disrespectful. They're downright racist. I grew up more, in Maryland, in the Maryland area, and like right on the Mason-Dixon, like Pennsylvania. While they're still racist there, coming here to North Carolina was a bit of a culture shock to me, because the way that people are so openly racist down here is crazy. The shit they say is like next level. So anywho, happy Juneteenth to everybody and all their friends.
Donald Trump just attacked Juneteenth, which is today, in a new social media post. He just manages to continue to get worse. I don't even know how that's possible. We're already at rock bottom. He said, too many non-working holidays in America. It is costing our country billions of dollars to keep all these businesses closed. The workers don't want it either. Soon we'll end up having a holiday for every once working day of the year. It must change if we are going to make America great again. Yeah, there's just so much wrong here, but let's start with the obvious. Donald Trump accusing other people of not working hard. This is a guy who golfs at every single opportunity, using taxpayer dollars to do it. Please spare me the preaching, Donald. And also, why didn't he put out this post on like Columbus Day? You know, when we're celebrating the end of slavery, and that's a federal holiday, he decides it's too many holidays. But on Columbus Day, oh, he's all in. Also, in 2020, he canceled a rally he was having on Juneteenth because he thought it would be offensive. Now, there's too many holidays. This guy just can't pick a position. He just flips every single day. Every single day.
A lot of people are going to be saying happy Juneteenth.
Peekaboo, what the
It should not be a federal holiday.
Oh my god, a holiday that's not about you. Is that what upsets you? I'm pretty sure that's why you're mad. If July 4th deserves a holiday, so does Juneteenth, love. You're not mad that it's a holiday. You're mad that it centers black people and not you. Juneteenth also bothers you because history bothers you, love. June 19th honors the day in 1865 when the last group of enslaved black people in the United States were finally told they were free. 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Love. Confederacy didn't follow the fucking law. So 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was released, on June 19th, Union General Gordon Granger and 2,000 federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas. Love. He read General Order Number 3, which actually enforced the end of slavery and freed over 250,000 black people that were still enslaved. Just say you're more comfortable erasing history than confronting it. Love.
And I'm on my way to work.
Love, do you work on Christmas too? Or are you selective on which federal holidays you actually respect? It's crazy. You're choosing to work. Enslaved people didn't. Love.
Have a good day.
And will. But honestly, I hope you have a terrible day. Bookie Bay. Bitch.
Juneteenth should not be a federal holiday. And remember, everybody, Republicans fought to free the slaves, Democrats did not. And the reason why this holiday existed in Texas is because Democrats decided not to tell the people that they enslaved that they were free. The reason why this holiday even existed is because in Texas is because Democrats decided not to tell the enslaved people that they were free.
First of all, this is the smile of unearned confidence. Second of all, you're saying that this shouldn't be a federal holiday based on your misunderstanding of who told who the enslaved people were free and who was holding them? Did I get that? It stands to reason that if the roles were reversed, you would be saying that it would be fine to be a national holiday? What the f*** is even your argument here? It was conservative Texans that enslaved people 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. Conservative fucking Rafael Cruz, okay? That's who would have done that. This is an insane, incoherent argument, which, I mean, yeah. Juneteenth is a day to reflect on our dark history of slavery and to celebrate the resiliency of black people and African Americans and to acknowledge that the pursuit of freedom and equity is still ongoing thanks to certain people.
Juneteenth is for and about black Americans. It's not about the diaspora. It's not about Haitians. It's not about Jamaicans. It's not about people in the Caribbean. It is not about people who are not from America. It's been very interesting over the past couple of years to see the diaspora and all of the tethers and all of the people who are black but not from America at all try to claim Juneteenth as a part of their own. There are even some Juneteenth celebrations that are saying, oh, this is a celebration of the diaspora, and we're going to talk about Africa, and we're going to talk about Nigeria and Jamaica and wherever. And I'm here to say that no, this is about black Americans. If you celebrate Juneteenth, I personally think that it's been overtaken by leftism, but that's neither here nor there. If you celebrate Juneteenth and you are an African American, you are a black American, this holiday is for you. This holiday is not for you to share with the entire diaspora. This is not something else for them to colonize and cut you out of, because they like doing that a lot. I think that some African is even the CEO of Essence, which is wild. But this is about black Americans. So black Americans, if you celebrate Juneteenth, let it be about you, black Americans, and not the entire diaspora.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.